Hi everyone, how are you? Monica Shimoda here with Moms Unshackled, and if you are joining me for the first time, what I do is I help moms and dads build healing and empowerment systems for themselves so that they can show up in family court as the best version of themselves instead of living in their fearful place that we all know so well, right? We all know how traumatizing and treacherous family court is. So, what I'm going to be talking to you today about is, why are we not standing up for ourselves in court? Why are we not acting as the best version of ourselves? Why is it that we can kick ass at work and like be on the head of our sales team and be a really wonderful girlfriend or boyfriend and just really stand out in other areas of our lives? Like, why are we known for giving the best dinner parties and just having great talent? Maybe we're really great musicians. Maybe we're really great artists. Maybe we're really good athletes, or we just have a lot of really powerful attributes that bring people to us, but yet when it's time to go to court, you just can't be you. You can't be the best version of yourself. You're like the worst version of yourself. Why is it that you get the heart palpitations and the sweaty palms and the lump in your throat and the digestive issues and the migraines and the dry throat and everything else? Like, why is it that that version of ourselves comes out when we're in the courtroom? So it's not because a lot of you are going to say, well, that happens because I'm being treated badly and I don't know what to do. What's really happening is that you can probably get the information that you need to function in court. In other words, Ron and Sherry Palmer, they have a website, fixfamilycourts.com. I'm always talking about it. They have more material on their website than you can ever consume in your lifetime. You have the tools. The tools are available. If you have access to the internet, you can Google anything you need to learn how to function in family court in terms of the legal aspect. You're probably not going to do a very good job at first. It's going to take you a few tries. It takes practice to learn how to do this, but you probably can get the tools that you need. You can get the academic tools that you need. You could take really good notes. You could take bullet points. It's not because we don't have the materials and the educational materials. That stuff is available. What the problem is that we're not executing it in the court. We have it. You could bring books with you. You could bring a copy of the practice book. You could bring case law with you. You could bring all this stuff and keep impeccable notes. But but a lot of us can't access it, and we can't access the part of our brain that would make us really know when to speak up, when to object, when to defend yourself. There's something else that's happening, and that we're not really talking about this. You are afraid. And this is another thing. You're going to say, well, I can't do that because I'm going to be retaliated against if I dare say anything about my constitutional rights. If I use the First Amendment, I'm going to get punished by the judge. If I use the 14th Amendment, I'm going to get punished by the judge. If I talk about my child's disability rights under the American with Disabilities Act, I'm going to get punished. If I say that the state has no authority to come into my home and measure my backyard and explore my family history, mental health history, if I say that the state doesn't have the right to do that under the Fourth Amendment, I'm going to get retaliated against. And so what you're doing is you're blaming retaliation on your unwillingness and inability to take action and really put yourself out there, really lean into the best version of yourself and put your rights on the record and put, allow your value system and your backbone to be front and center. The parts that you value the most, justice, your child's, welfare, all the things that are important to you, you're not putting those things out front and center. Instead, you're letting the fear drive the bus. You're afraid of retaliation. And so a lot of us will get ourselves off the hook by just saying, well, I'm not going to do that because the judge is going to retaliate against me, so I'm just not going to bother. And you're putting retaliation as the reason. And I believe that retaliation is probably 10% of the reason why you're not leaning into that version of yourself that knows how to be an activist and knows how to use your backbone and taking a stand and taking a stand for your role as your sacred role as your child's parent and taking a stand for your child. And you know that injustice is wrong. You learn that in first grade, that injustice is wrong. But you're not putting that out there. You're not saying, hey, no one has the right to do this. You guys don't have the right to do XYZ, like look into my medical health records and do a search on my home, and like, you don't have the right to take my child away from me and give me 4 days a month. You don't have the right to do that. So your value system is screaming at you saying this is wrong, and you know this is wrong, and you want to put that part of you out there, and you're saying, no, I'm going to be retaliated against, so I'm just not going to do it. And you're allowing the discomfort of being a better version of yourself to stop you. And you're blaming it on retaliation. So I think retaliation is about 10% of the reason why you're not doing it. And the rest of the reason, that extra 90%, is your fear of standing out and taking up space and really stepping into that stronger version of yourself. It's really hard to step into that. Like, it's uncomfortable. It's so much safer and easier to just sit at home and watch Netflix and not have to think about anything. Think about it. We all want to be public speakers. A lot of us want to, a lot of us fantasize about being a public speaker. I know I do. I want to get on a TED Talk stage so bad. But you're still going to have those palpitations and the lump in your throat and the night sweats and the migraines and all the things, the digestive issues when you're thinking about going up on stage. Even if you're going to think about your favorite topic. There are musicians that are just really good, and they're afraid to go up on stage and do these things because they're getting those sensations in their body. But they do it anyway because they have learned to step into that version of themselves anyway, that creatress or creator, version, that artist version. And they're not saying, well, I really want to sing, but I'm just not going to because my palms are sweaty and I have a lump in my throat and people might boo me. So they're not doing that. So why are there so many parents that will not exercise their personal power in the court system? Is it really retaliation? Or is it that you're just afraid of being extra? You're afraid of being amazing. You're afraid of being an activist. Because who else has ever done this before? How many parents have ever flipped over the family court system? You know how many? None, because we still have the same laws on the books that we had in the 1970s when the family courts really became a thing. There has been no reform in family court at all. The only reform that's happened is that mothers are now treated just as bad as fathers were in the 1980s. So the reform, I think that when the fathers' rights people started making a lot of noise in the 80s and 90s, I think people started paying attention. So now they're just treating mothers like shit too. So that's the only reform we've gotten, is now both parents are on that crappy playing field where there's really not as much of a gender thing as there was 30, 40 years ago. Okay. And a lot of men will say, no, it's still a mother thing. I don't know. I haven't seen a lot of evidence of that. I think that mothers and fathers are equally treated just as bad. So maybe you might have a different opinion, but so your fear is stepping into this alternate version of yourself that you're not really used to. It's a muscle you're not used to flexing. And you don't want to do that in the court system. You're getting, all these things are getting in the way. My ex will laugh at me. The attorney will laugh at me. If I try to cite case law and I screw it up, they're going to laugh at me. And there's other things too. Like, if I put my constitutional rights out on the record, well, then what? Then I'm going to have to keep doing it. You're not going to walk in and say all this amazing stuff about the First Amendment, and then like the next time you go to court, you're just like, okay, let's just get a GAL. You're not going to do that. You're going to feel like you have to maintain that role as this like front and center parent who's now driving the bus. So it's challenging because now you have to like get academically into it. You have to maintain this uncomfortable state of mind. And what you're doing is you're using all that as a reason to not stand up for yourself in court. And so here's the question I have for you. Now, biologically, it makes sense that we're getting the heart palpitations and the stomach upset and the migraines and I have been in court where I had everything right in front of me, and I was so nervous that I couldn't even find my bullet point list, even though it was right in front of me. I could not find it. I was like flipping through papers and just frantic. And my ex was talking the whole time, and the judge was like just taking away my rights. She's like, I'm going to take away summer vacation. I'm going to take, like, they're like literally, it's like they're just dumping sand out on the beach, like all my rights were just going, like just falling through like sand. And I'm like trying to find my thing. And I'm like, I only have 10 seconds to say this thing, and I can't find the list. And the list was in front of me the whole time. So it's stuff like that. We can't access this cognitive version of, part of our brain that would allow us to be organized with things. So it's really uncomfortable and icky. And so the reason we're going through that And my point is that I've been there. You know, I've been to court probably 200 times, and most of the times I've been in court I was in that state of mind where I was just panicking and I couldn't access my better self. So you're where was I going? I was going to say something about the reason, the biology. So the biology behind like the heart palpitations and stuff is that your mammalian brain, which is like this big, it's like this thing that's just kind of sort of there. It's just, all it's doing is controlling like your basic functions. Your mammalian brain does not know that you're in court, okay? They're not thinking like, oh, you're in family court, you better be an activist now. Your mammalian brain is like, oh, there's danger. And your mammalian brain is like the 3-year-old version of you. So your mammalian brain starts throwing a temper tantrum, and now you're getting the heart palpitations, and you feel like, oh, I can't go forward. I have to stop. I'm just going to sit here and zip my lip and hope the judge is nice and hope that I don't lose anything else. And how has that been working for you? Just sitting there and staying quiet because you're scared to speak up for yourself. Has that ever really worked? I have yet to meet a single parent. I've worked with over 200 parents. I have yet to hear a single parent say, I'm so glad I didn't say a single word and I let everything just happen because things worked out great. That never happens. Staying silent doesn't work, because if it was going to work, we would all have our kids back by now. Okay? So we all know that staying silent doesn't work. Zipping your lip, being agreeable, being amendable, being malleable does not work. We would all have our kids if it worked. It doesn't work, so we have to go with something else. And so your mammalian brain thinks that you're in danger, okay? For all your mammalian brain knows, there's a bear chasing you and you're hiding in a cabin, and you can't step out of that cabin because the bear will get you. So it's safer to stay in the cabin and hide under the covers where the bear won't find you. So that's what that's the decision you're making in court. You're like, well, this is dangerous. I'm just not going to do anything. I'm going to stay hidden, and I'm going to stay quiet, and the bad stuff won't happen. It doesn't work that way. This is not a bear chasing you, and staying quiet is not sitting in a cabin where it's safe. It's not safe to be quiet in court. You are going to lose your rights. You're going to lose your kids. All this bad stuff's going to happen to you. And for like 6 years, every time I walked out of that courthouse, I had less than what I entered with. I either lost a vacation, lost a lot of money. There was one time when I walked into court, and 15 minutes later, I walked out of court with a $7,000 child support arrearage on me, on fraud. So it's like, and I didn't say a single word. I just sat there, and I figured the judge is going to have mercy. The judge isn't going to believe the lies. And the judges always go for the lies. So staying silent doesn't work. So we have to do something else. It's been 50 years. We have to do something else. This isn't working. It's not, we grew up, Generation X, we grew up with divorced parents. Our classmates had divorced parents. Our classmates had visitor fathers. Look at how nasty that has turned out with mental health and suicides and all this bad stuff happening with Generation X, okay? Now it's happening with the next generation, the millennials, and it's not going to stop unless we do something different. So I want you to take a stand for your value system, take a stand for what's right, and try to consider that just because you're having body reactions to doing something important, like defending yourself and being an activist, maybe you don't have to pay attention to those sensations. Maybe you could just be like, okay, I have sweaty palms and a lump in my throat, but I'm going to do this anyway. You know, Muhammad Ali, do you think he was like, oh, maybe I won't go into that boxing ring because I might get a black eye? I wonder how many times Muhammad Ali has had a bruise on his face after leaving the boxing ring, okay? Did he like refuse to be a boxer because he might get a few bruises? He's probably broken bones. You know, there's boxers who literally have like a skull that is like shaped differently after, you know, when they die than people who don't box. They have like calluses and, you know. So are they refusing to be boxers? Was Rosa Parks, do you think Rosa Parks regretted getting arrested? Okay, I'm not saying go out and get arrested, but do you think like someone like Nelson Mandela, when he was on his deathbed, do you think he regretted anything that he did? No, he did not. What people regret is staying silent and being cooperative and being malleable. How many times have you walked out of court and said, I cannot believe I didn't say this, I can't believe I didn't say that, and you start beating yourself up? You're not safer by doing nothing. So what if, I'm going to challenge you, What if you can just be afraid and feel like crap about standing up for yourself? Because it's not fun. It's not like you have this floating, amazing, transcendental experience standing up for yourself in court. Standing up for yourself in court feels like shit. It feels terrible. It doesn't feel good. It's really, really uncomfortable. It's really scary. It feels icky. You're not going to like it. You're not going to like it at all. But what if you can just feel that way and stand up for yourself anyway? What if you can just do that anyway? And if there's some retaliation, if you get sanctioned, you get yelled at, you get the marshal coming up to you and standing right here. I've had all this stuff happen to me. I've had a marshal standing as close to me as this chair is. And I stood up for myself anyway. Did I die? No. I'm still breathing. And the thing is, with retaliation, if you get sanctioned, you could appeal that. So there is a way out. There's always a little back door where you can find a way out of a bad situation like retaliation. So stop blaming everything on retaliation. Retaliation is a very small component of why you're not taking action. And also not knowing what to do, that is accessible. You can research your case law, and it's not fun. It sucks. And that's another thing. We have to stop getting ourselves off the hook because things suck. Just because something sucks doesn't mean that you shouldn't be doing it. It's okay to do something that sucks. It's so boring researching the law. Oh my God, it's so boring. But you can still do it. There is a way to do it. I'm a coach. I coach parents through this stuff all the time. And it is 100% possible. It's doable. And the thing is, when you're leaning into this new version of yourself, you're just at a higher frequency. You're part of a bigger piece of the puzzle. You're part of the solution. And the other thing is, you're moving trauma. Like when you're taking action, trauma, post-traumatic stress disorder, moves out of your body. It might not move out of your body, but at least it changes form so that it can be more manageable. I don't know if PTSD could ever really be purged from the body. I'm sure it can. It probably requires a lot of deep therapy. There's a lot of spiritual people that follow me who believe in like chakra clearing. I believe in all that stuff. So I believe that I have PTSD still, but I know for a fact that my PTSD is completely manageable. Completely manageable. So yes, so your value system isn't allowing this. Your value system says, no, I don't want to do this. Your higher self is saying, I don't want to do this anymore. I want to start taking a stand. So I help parents with this. And now, so there's a lot of pieces that have to like be present for you to just dive into this. You have to have the right mindset. You actually have to have the tools. Okay. It's easy to be like, oh, I'm going to stand up for myself. But if you don't know what to say, it's kind of hard to do that. Otherwise you're just like, this is wrong because it's wrong. And so, there's nothing wrong with that. You could say that. I've seen parents do that when I would go to court with parents. I would watch them say that. And I'm like, at least you're standing up for yourself. You might not be saying the right things, but at least you're putting the energy out there. So you have to actually have the tools. You have to have the knowledge. That's easy. Look, if you could pass algebra and geometry and like calculus, if you could get a college degree, you could do this. And you have to also you have to learn how to manage the actual symptoms, like the anxiety, because you're going to feel like shit. I told you, it's not going to feel good. But you have to know how to handle those symptoms, those byproducts. Okay. And so there's a lot of pieces that, have to be present. So I teach parents that. I'm launching a course on May 13th, which is like two weeks away. And if you want to get a feel of what kind of teaching I do, like what kind of instructor is Monica, you can actually take a free course right now, which is available immediately. You could get that right now if you want to get a feel of what kind of work I do. And this free course is kind of like a preparatory course for the big course that's coming up on May 13th. So I'm going to be putting in the link not this second, but pretty soon I'm going to be putting in the link to the free course. So go ahead and take advantage of that. Just click on it and stay tuned for the big course that's coming out on May 13th. It's 12 weeks long. I really want you to have all the information that is available because we need reform in the system. I'm not willing to let another generation go through this. I'm not going to get my son back. My son's not coming back. He's 13. It's just not going to happen. I'm in the Supreme Court right now. That's another 2 years. If I lose in the Supreme Court, I'm going to go to the United States Supreme Court. By the time I'm done with all this, my son's going to be an adult. So I'm not going to get him back. But I'm not letting my kids go through this. I do not want my kids to to inherit this system. So it's up to us to fix this. Us Generation X people, we're the ones that are going to fix the system. So we need this information right now. So anyway, I'm going to be responding to your comments, after the live stream, and I really truly appreciate you coming on and ask all the questions you want. I will answer your questions. You can either private message me or you can just put your questions right here in the comments. I look forward to hearing from you, and we will get in touch soon. I'll be coming on live again later this week. All right, so enjoy your night. Bye-bye.